Good afternoon, and welcome to the 27th meeting of the COVID313 Family and Youth Coalition. We are so delighted to have you with us. And for those of you for the very first time, you should know that there are over 30 organizations that have come together throughout the city of Detroit, including foundations, health organizations, activism organizations, all coming together to provide you consistently with facts, with resources, support, and a lot of love to our community. Because we know that now COVID is still here. It is still a challenge for us. It still is creating more questions. And yes, it's creating pain and suffering in our families. And even while this is happening, there is something else remarkable that is happening. And our COVID Coalition is such an example of that. And that is that we are staying strong on making sure that we are connected to each other and giving each other information that empowers us to be able to use our knowledge, because we know that knowledge is power. And so within this context, we were coming to you and we asked you to begin to get settled in, because we have another program that is designed to give you information on what is going on and how to navigate online education. We're also so very pleased to have someone from the state of Michigan come and speak to us about long-term care nursing facilities. And we know that while we have been focused on children, we have lost so many elders in our community. And we also need to have strategies and understand how we can advocate for ourselves and our families as they transition, perhaps from home to a nursing home or from hospitals to a nursing home. So we hope that you're locked in tight, you're ready to go. And lastly, let me share that as the CEO of the Detroit Parent Network, I'm blessed to be here and blessed to be a part of this initiative. And I am one of those women from Michigan. So to move us forward and keep this perspective about keeping us connected, I want to bring in the next connector, and that's going to be Christine Bell, who's co-moderator, our friend and champion in this work. Christine.
Thanks, Jametta. It's so good to have you back this week. We missed you. We missed you a lot last week. It was great to have Terry too, but we definitely missed you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, I'm Christine Bell. I'm the mother of 3 really amazing children, and you actually might hear them today because I too am at home working and trying to navigate virtual school, and one little one that still needs nap times and things like that. So I know how difficult this time is personally, and I want you all to know that we are here with you, here to bring you really good information and support you in this really unprecedented time, both that is difficult emotionally and difficult, chaotic in navigating schedules and things of that nature. So I'm honored to serve as the Executive Director of Urban Neighborhood Initiatives, and I'm a really proud member of this coalition. So today we're translating the town hall into Spanish, Arabic, and ASL. So we want to give folks time to get on the right line and get comfortable. Christina, please share the phone number for Spanish translation.
Sí, if you need Spanish translation, please call 7440 for translation. Si necesita traducción en español, por favor hable al 313-626-7440. Hoy la señora Gloria Rosas y su servidora Cristina Ruiz Mazón harán la traducción. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you so much, Christina. You have a great name. Saeed, could you please share the Arabic translation?
إن كنت بحاجة للترجمة إلى اللغة العربية، الرجاء الاتصال على الرقم 3132417030. الرقم مجددا هو 3132417030. معكم سعيد دحدح ونحن مستعدون هنا لخدمتكم. Thank you. شكرا.
Thank you, Saeed. And it looks like we have a new interpreter today for ASL. Welcome, Joan. Could you please provide the instructions for ASL?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. So stay with us for the next 90 minutes so you can stay informed and powerful in this very chaotic time. It's also your time to ask experts the questions that you have. And we are going to have a little yoga today. So we're really excited about that. To ask your questions, please use the chat feature on Facebook, or you can text your questions to 313-288-2082. Again, that number is 288-2082. After each segment, we'll have questions and answer. And if we can't answer your question today, we're committed to getting you the answer by early next week. All questions asked today will be posted with their answer on onedetroitpbs.org and on their Facebook page. For our experts, we just have a few reminders. Please remember to speak slowly for our translators. They want to make sure that they're translating the important information that you are sharing correctly. Please turn off your camera when you're not speaking to ensure that our ASL interpreter can be seen. And most importantly, please mute yourself when you're not speaking. Terry Whitfield is our timekeeper. So make sure you're paying attention to your chat because he will chat you your remaining time. If you go over, Jametta or myself will come onto the screen and gently remind you to wrap up. Today is a really exciting day because for many weeks, our good friend Arlisa has been away, and today she is back. So I am really honored and excited to welcome Arlisa Hurd back to the town hall. Arlisa?
Oh my goodness, that was a wonderful intro. I don't know, it almost feels like I should be singing or something. I don't know. Anyway, I just want to really make sure that my camera is on. So let me just ask that because I was having some tech difficulties earlier.
We can see you fine.
Okay, good. All right. Just wanted to be sure. We're in the world of technology right now. Everything's a Zoom call. Okay, well, once again, hello, everyone. My name is Arlisa Hurd. I am a member of 482 Forward and also a member of this COVID313 coalition, and I am glad to be back. I am also a parent of two sons. One son is 25 years old, who graduated from the public school system in 2013. And I have a 14-year-old who is now a 9th grader and part of that same public school system right now. I'm going to try to keep this short because I'm frustrated. I'm scared, I'm angry, and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because I just don't know why educating my children has to be so hard. And this just didn't start with the pandemic. If anything, the pandemic put the spotlight on what we've been covering up for decades. This pandemic has forced us all to sit and think about some things. I've been thinking about the what ifs and the now what's. This week, I've been thinking, how can my son, who has ADHD and needs special assistance, how can he really sit in front of the computer screen and listen to lecture and really engage in learning? I've been thinking, how are parents going to work if their children are at home virtually learning? I've also been thinking, why are some school districts trying to recreate the classroom virtually in a child's home? I've also been thinking, why are some school officials using the opportunity of being live in a student's home as a chance to pass judgment on how some of our families live? I've also been thinking, why are some schools totally face-to-face and parents said they didn't want that? I've also been thinking, how are kids learning and lots of the technology issues are still not addressed or worked out? I've been thinking a lot about how some teachers who are also parents are teaching other students virtually in their homes while their own children are just a few feet away, struggling to stay engaged with their own classes. I've been thinking, why are elementary students expected to sit still through anything and virtually learn? I've also been thinking, why are some schools threatening some students with suspensions or detentions right now? I've really been thinking, what are we doing about our special ed population? What are we doing about the mental health of our students and their families? I've also been thinking, why didn't we just heed all the warnings for decades to start shifting education in a new direction and bring about a much needed change since the world was drastically changing 30 years ago? I could go on, but I will say this. I don't know how much longer I can do this, because right now I'm doing this work all while my son is just a few feet away from me, struggling to stay engaged right now. My sister is a grandparent, and she's just recently retired, 38 years from her job. And you know what she's doing right now? She is now sitting with her 5 and 6-year-old grandchildren, trying to keep them focused and still as they are virtually learning, all while she doesn't have a lot of tech skills. And why is she doing this instead of sitting back and relaxing and enjoying retirement? Because her son and her daughter-in-law are essential workers, and they have full-time jobs, and they cannot be at home. It's time to rethink education, folks. Forget about thinking out the box, because we've been in the box too long. We need a pandemic view of education. No boxes allowed. And I'm gonna stop right there. Christine?
Arlisa, you're back. You have identified so succinctly the many powerful questions that not only parents have, but parents who are at home, parents who are working still, the dilemma of essential workers. And I really hope, family, as you listen to that you are casting your ears wide to hear from officials, both in education, in health, in behavioral health, in housing, our city officials. How is it that we are coming together at this time to make life a little bit easier? Because as we all know, parents are the first teacher. So it's an incredibly important job that you have. But while we're thinking about that, Arlisa, thank you for bringing forth the fact that particularly throughout Black and Brown communities in particular, we have multi-generations. And so the role of grandparents is essential to children's learning. But also with COVID, amongst the many health disparities and systemic racism that ease and oozes around us, we've also seen it play out as it impacts our seniors and our elders. And so to help us begin to think about that and share both opportunities to build advocacy and to build relationships and accountability in the area of long-term care, we're so pleased to have join us Sally Poon. Sally is with the State Michigan Long-Term Care Ombudsman. And also she is a member of the special task force that the governor has pulled together to precisely look at the role and strengthening the role of nursing homes in the context of this pandemic. So Sally, welcome, take it away.
Thank you so much for inviting me today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you and your audience. So I am Sally Pong, I'm the State Long-Term Care Ombudsman. And I just want to share a little bit about our program and then talk about what we've been doing during COVID-19. So the Michigan Long-Term Care Ombudsman strives to improve the quality of care and quality of life for residents of nursing homes, homes for the aged, and adult foster care homes. The program has 20 local ombudsmen located throughout the state. And these ombudsmen make frequent visits to facilities and work directly with residents to resolve their problems. Ombudsmen use the knowledge they gain at the local level to educate policymakers and the public and promote improvements in the long-term care system. Our program is funded by federal and state government. There's never a cost to residents or families for ombudsman services, and our services are confidential. We work on behalf of the resident and we help become the resident's voice. So when you might want to contact our program, if you have concerns about care, the quality of life, payment issues, or eligibility issues in a licensed long-term care setting. If you have questions about your rights, if you cannot get the services, equipment, or supplies you need, if you're notified that you have to leave the facility against your wishes, if you want information about other long-term care options, maybe you don't want to live in a nursing home for the rest of your life and want to consider other placement services. Or if you want to learn about becoming a volunteer within our program, or if you wish to schedule a presentation about long-term care issues, our ombudsman can offer services in all of these areas. So typically, our ombudsman visit nursing homes on a regular basis and meet with residents and try to address concerns or issues that they have. But since March, we haven't been able to go into facilities due to COVID-19. And I wanted to share with everyone today that during this time period, we've seen almost a 95% increase in our call volume. So there are concerns and issues out there for many residents living in long-term care settings. The most frequent concerns that we receive are related to visitation and isolation and quarantine, which all of you can imagine being isolated in a home to your room and only seeing the people who care for you each day. So as I chaired this quality of life subcommittee work group within the task force, we did focus on these issues about isolation, about the need for visitation, about how residents can become depressed and they can physically and mentally and emotionally decline without having family and friends available to them. And then we also think about the number of residents who don't have community from the outside and oftentimes rely on other residents to be their support. And they've been isolated from them as well. So I wanted to share with you that we've made a number of recommendations, and most recently we have seen the Department of Health and Human Services release an epidemic order, which does allow for outdoor visits, which haven't been allowed in the past. And it also allows for certain service providers to now enter the facility and provide those necessary services like mental health services, podiatry, dental, different therapies. Those are critical to residents. And initially, maybe a month or two, you might be able to delay those services, but we're now 6 months into this pandemic. So it's really important that those be allowed. So I only have just a short time left with you today. So I did want to mention that our website, mltcop.org, has information about COVID-19 and how it affects those living in long-term care settings. We also host a Wednesday night call from 6:30 to 7:30 where people can ask questions, and the information to access that call is on our website. And if anyone out there is in need of assistance from a long-term care ombudsman, we are just a phone call away. And our number is 1-866-485-9393. So thank you so much.
Sally, thank you. Hopefully everybody got that telephone number, area code 1-866-485-9393. And also to let the audience know that there is on the website, you can also go and get more information. It's really critical because we know that in Michigan, almost 40% of all of the deaths from COVID were of our elders, and many of them were living in nursing homes, but many of them were still connected to family. So we know the trickle effect of what's happened here. So do we have any questions, Christine, for Sally?
Yes. So Sally, if a family is struggling, could you give some examples of when a family should contact you, particularly if maybe things aren't working out in the long-term care facility, or they're nervous about protocols and how they're handling COVID. Could you just talk a little bit for the audience, talk through some scenarios that would be appropriate to contact you?
Sure, Christine, I'd be happy to. So as I mentioned, our most frequent question that we get in our office is around visitation. So if your loved one, if you're noticing a decline and that your loved one is either losing weight or you're being told that they have to increase their medication significantly, or your loved one is more agitated, depressed, those are the times when, if you've talked to the facility about those concerns and they aren't helping address it, that's when you'd want to reach out to the Ombudsman program. We might be able to help you have a conversation with the facility about meeting the residents' needs and the requirements for highest quality of life. And that might help us facilitate maybe an in-person visit or an outdoor visit and help support the resident who's really at that time we think suffering from a decline. We also know that if family members have helped in the past with residents with perhaps with their dining and you've supported them, there are some flexibilities that would allow a family member to continue to enter the facility at this time and support your loved one with the dining program. And we never want to see weight loss with our elderly. It's often that leads to other deteriorations. So those are some examples. Or if you're told that your loved one has to leave the facility and you're not given a written notice, that's a time to reach out to us. If you are concerned about abuse or neglect, reach out to our program. Or if you're just concerned overall with the care that's being provided, one of our more common complaints that we hear in our program are if call lights are left unattended and not answered timely, or they're turned off and ignored. And we understand that staffing is always a challenge for facilities, but residents shouldn't have to bear that burden. They deserve the care and services that they're entitled to. So almost any reason you could reach out to our program and we would try to offer assistance.
Great. One last question, and I'm assuming this, so what are the requirements for outside visits? So what are the guidelines around that?
There's actually a significant number of requirements, but I think what's most important to know is that the facility has the option to offer them. They're not mandated, they're allowable. What has to happen, the family member, if they're allowed to have a visit, they have to be screened. So when you come to the facility, they'll ask you questions about your possible exposure, and if you've had a fever, any symptoms. You'll have to wear a mask. You'll have to stay 6 feet away from the resident. For residents that are COVID positive, they most likely will not be able to participate in an outdoor visit. They'll still be cohorted within the facility. The visit has to be monitored by a staff member or a volunteer who's been trained in infection control practices. So again, if a family member feels like there are barriers that could be resolved, reach out to our Ombudsman program and we will try to talk with the facility and find creative solutions. That's what's needed right now more than ever, are those creative solutions to remove those barriers so that we can reunite residents with those individuals that are so important to them.
So we had one more question come in. What are the requirements of nursing homes to contact family members when there is a decline or other concerns of staff?
Well, if the resident is experiencing a decline, that would be a change in their condition, and the facility is required to reach out to the legal responsible party. So usually that is a family member in that situation. There is no requirement for the facility to notify family members if they have staffing situations or staffing issues. So that is of concern. So oftentimes the way you learn about those is by a resident sharing their experience, and then looking at the root cause analysis, you realize that's due to a staffing issue in the facility.
Thank you so much, Sally. It's been so nice to have you here. Jametta?
Yes, again, just want to echo Sally, thank you. And thank you for advocating for many in our community that don't have enough advocacy on their behalf. And so we're looking at health, and now we're going to pivot to talk about what is the reality of what's going on in education, and that we recognize that this thing that we're talking to each other through, the internet, is a fundamental part of the reality that we're in. And so we know that we need internet for all, but once we have that, what on earth parents are asking, do I do with online enrichment or online education? There's a lot to figure out. And to help us figure this out a little bit, we're really delighted to have join us Dr. Naima Wade, and she is the Executive Director of 826 Michigan. And Dr. Wade, we would love to hear your recommendations and observations about what's going on with online education and what parents need to know.
So much, Jametta. Thank you all for having me. I'm really pleased to be here and to be a part of this critical conversation about supporting students remotely. As you've said, I'm executive director at 826 Michigan. I'm also an education consultant and a part of Office for Teaching and Learning at Wayne State University. And let me just tell you, even with all of that, I'm joining you today mostly as a wife and mother that's raising two beautiful and brilliant brown girls who attend Detroit schools. And you are absolutely correct. You know, even though we have internet and even though we've done all the things to make sure that their connectivity is there and strong, all of my e-learning and education credentials did not prepare me for what we are dealing with right now. I will tell you, I was laughing with a friend and I was saying, man, that first day of school, my brain just felt so completely overwhelmed. And me, a person that teaches faculty how to use these tools, and you know, I should know how all of this stuff works. By day 2 of online learning, I literally had to go to bed at 7 o'clock, and I did not wake up until 7 the next morning because mentally, just the exercise and the burden of keeping track of all the things was a lot. And that prompted me to really just first pause and acknowledge my sense of being overwhelmed, and then ask myself, you know, what is it that I can do? Because if I'm feeling like this, I know parents that don't have the level of experience that I have with teaching tools, education technologies, and even just learning design are feeling it too, especially if you have multiple children in your home. And so one of the things I really want to say in terms of, you know, the answer to what is the best way we can support our students is first to really try to pause and frame this as an opportunity, not a burden. Absolutely right. There are many, many challenges with this current arrangement for how our students are learning. However, I will say that as parents, like you said, Jametta, we are our students' first teachers. And so we have a lot of power over their attitude about learning this way. And I really, you know, had to correct myself and say, you know, my reactions and my responses to this are going to affect their perspective. And so that's the first thing I had to do, was shift how I was behaving about it, so that they could see it as an opportunity to just try something different. Also honoring the fact that they are students, but they are still intelligent, small human beings. And maybe some of them are not so small if you have a high schooler in your home. But the fact of the matter is, we should just acknowledge the fact that they are feeling some things about this too. Inviting them to have a conversation about how they're experiencing this can really inform what you do to create a successful environment in your home. If you are able, you know, or whoever is caring for students during the normal school hours, I think it's important, you know, to have a detailed conversation and to make sure that you know what your students need to feel connected to their community, their classmates, as well as their teachers. And the other thing I'm going to say is, like, manage your transitions. You know, the school day right now is set up back to back to back, you know, with no transition between classes necessarily. And so I say, as a parent, you have power over how that day flows. I would recommend, you know, getting outside of the box and taking your student for a walk, you know, before the start of the day, as opposed to waiting for, you know, a teacher or someone to say to go to recess, using their lunchtime to just shake things up, play some games, or do something that just breaks up the monotony of like clicking out of one meeting and into the next, because we all know that Zoom fatigue is real and our students are experiencing it as well. The other thing I was going to say is, in terms of advocating for our students with our teachers and with the schools that they may attend, be honest about what you can and cannot do, and push back when the expectations just don't meet the reality of what's happening in your home. So, if the expectation is that a student is working asynchronously or offline to complete a homework assignment within a certain window of time, and you're not home, and that just doesn't work for your work schedule, then just communicate and say, my student is not going to turn that in until later tonight when I have the time to be present with them. And just take your power that you have to make this an experiment, and do the things that you feel like are maybe missing from the normal school curriculum to create the best educational outcome for your learner. And the final thing I'll say is that supporting your learner is not just about checking the box of school attendance, but it's also about supporting their entire development through other enrichment opportunities. And so programs like 826 Michigan are still here and still doing a lot of great work, providing free writing and publishing programs that you and your family are able to participate in all semester long. And so I invite you to visit our website, which is www.826michigan.org. That's the number 826michigan.org for more information. And I hope to see you and some of your students on the other side of my computer screen. We can keep them writing pen and paper together and not just pecking and typing and texting all semester. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wade, and thank you for also sharing that as a professional and a parent, that is a particularly challenging place to be. And I love how you shared that all of your training, child development, whatever you did your dissertation in, didn't help you at the moment that you had to address your child. And we appreciate that in particular because there's so many parents that feel overwhelmed. But the most important thing, I think you've said it, is that we are there to support and create an enriching and supportive environment for our children. And so parents, you don't have to have a doctorate. You don't have to be an expert teaching the 5th grade to support your children. So thank you for carrying that message forward. And to help us, again, to look at what are we doing in education, both in the way of assisting address the digital divide, online education, etc. We're really pleased. I'm picking up a little bit of an echo. There may be somebody needs to put their mic on mute. We're pleased to have to join us again is Crystal Wilson, who is Assistant Superintendent at Detroit Public Schools Community District, as well as Ralph Bland, the CEO of New Paradigms in Education. Welcome to you both. We're going to do something a little bit different than what we've done in the past by asking you a series of questions that have come both from young people, our parents, and in fact, from the coalition itself. And because of our limited amount of time, we want to ask that you please try to answer the questions in about a 30-second-ish range. So that's really challenging, but I know the two of you can absolutely do this. So thank you for jumping in with this for these types of questions. And so what I'll do is I'm going to pick on you first, Ralph. I'll ask the question if you would respond to it, and then Crystal, and then we can just kind of go back and forth. So one of the first questions that we have is, so tell us about the first 2 weeks. What was something that was a rose and what was something that was a thorn, and how you've been adapting to all of these realities in the last 2 weeks. Ralph?
So thanks for having me today. Glad to be back on Town Hall meeting.
Glad to have you.
Definitely, I want to give kudos to students and parents for their patience, students for their patience, and also students being diligent about following different guidelines and procedures that they need to do to stay safe, especially the students going to school, doing face-to-face learning. I think definitely a rose is how students that were in face-to-face learning were just on task, following the social distancing guidelines, wearing their mask, and really, really engaged. We started our first 2 weeks off with students that were face-to-face and online. But the online students, what we did, we actually spent time just re-engaging students. We didn't get into the curriculum. We took the first 2 weeks just really engaging them, having activities and asking them to stir up different conversations and how are they feeling about, being in a pandemic, and how are they feeling about coming back to school, and really listening to their voice. So that's something we did for the first 2 weeks, and we had a lot of half a days in there because we didn't want to come back to school and then just go straight to 8 to 3. And students had been at home for a minute, kind of on some downtime. And so that was definitely a rose, and students really appreciated that, and parents really appreciated that. I would say definitely something that was probably more of a challenge, just being able to really reconnect with everybody, with people being online, and then having a certain amount of students doing face-to-face and reconnecting with parents. I think we definitely have to be innovative on how we're reconnecting with parents and staying face to face with parents and communicating with them and over communicating with them. I think that that's very vital and very important because even though we're using a lot of technology now, that technology, going back to some comments that Dr. Wade made, that it doesn't always work like we want it to. And so I think it's important that students are and families are taking breaks throughout the day and making sure students are just not in front of a screen all day. And I think Dr. Wade mentioned some very important points about giving them some additional activities.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much on that. Crystal, what were some of the roses and the thorn that you experienced with the district? And
Hi,
welcome.
Jametta. Thank you so much for having us back this week. We're at nearing the end of our second week of the opening of schools, and one of the biggest roses, I would say, is seeing all of our teachers and our students back in school after such a hard summer and spring. We know that COVID really hit this area really hard, and it left a lot of families, along with districts, but a lot of our families and staff scrambling as we all shuttered in place and tried to figure life out as the end of the school year neared. And so we're just excited to see the families back engaged and back in school and on track in this new quasi planned way. I refuse to say new normal. I don't accept that personally. But we offered a lot of variety of educational opportunities for our families. We have 51,000 students, and with that comes a litany of challenges. And some of the challenges have been based upon just the options of online learning, choosing face-to-face learning, and then providing families with the option of the learning centers. And so, at the school level, we've been working to support our principals and ensuring they have enough materials. We had the amazing Connected Futures initiative over the summer, where the business community, led in part by Reverend Anthony, DTE Foundation and Skillman and Quicken, came together to make sure that our students had access to tablets and also had access to free internet access. So we've had some challenges just with families picking up the laptops and tablets, and then once picked up, just because the digital divide is so wide in Detroit, just basic things like turning on the tablet, using the interface with the apps, that's a learning curve in of itself, just to get online established. And so what we're doing is trying to evaluate the resources that we have in terms of our help desk services. Our help desk has been over and inundated with calls, so we're expanding resources on our help desk, and we're expanding resources on the types of help, whether it's IT help at the school level with scheduling, support for families, mental health awareness, emotional support, and then just resources that we know that our families need. And so we are going to be rolling out more training. In fact, we're going to have training every day for our parents on technology and online support. We are also working to contact families face-to-face and via phone. A lot of us take for granted the fact that we can just throw a link up and go to this link. Well, if a family is having problems working their computer, they're never going to access that link because they are having problems navigating their technology. So just dialing it back to the basics, meeting parents where they are. We're going to launch focus groups because we know that we've heard families say that the computer time is too long and it's interfering with other things and activities. So we're going to do a listening session to assess what that will look like, and just asking everybody to continue to provide the feedback that they have. Although it's not always positive, we still need it so that we can understand where adjustments need to be made.
Crystal and Ralph, thank you. And so I need not say it's been a really full 2 weeks and a lot of learning and listening occurring. But also, we're functioning within a pandemic. What are the positive test protocols that you've established, and what will happen in the event that there is exposure at the school? And then the second part of that question is, what are your mask and cleaning protocols? Crystal, I want to start with you, and then we'll go to Ralph.
Okay, so in terms of protocols, Detroit Public Schools Community District, we have a reopening plan that outlines our protocols. At the very basic level, masks are required in the school and upon entering. Upon entering any school building or district office, temperature is required to be taken, and also a health questionnaire is required to be passed. There's sanitizing stations available, and we are encouraging the washing of the hands for the duration according to the CDC guidelines. At this point, the district has not had any outbreaks. However, we have had positive cases connected to the school district, and we're managing those in partnership with the health department. There are specific guidelines that define and announce an outbreak situation. So we've been notifying our families, our school staff, and our students. And so far, that implementation of our best practices for COVID safety is working. We are not hearing any examples of non-compliance with our over 100 buildings in the district. And at this point, I would really like to applaud our staff, our families, our students for adhering to the guidelines, because we know when they are faithfully followed, we can continue to have that safe environment, outbreak free, and continue to provide the education that they chose and that they deserve.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. Ralph, so what are your testing protocols, and what happens in the event there is a positive, and your mask and cleaning protocols?
So definitely we're following the roadmap that was put in place by the governor, and that we started off with our teachers with an app, and this app is sent to the teachers daily in the morning, and they actually have to answer a series of questions related to COVID, and that app would actually give them a clear to go or put up an alert and tell them to stop and call their immediate supervisor and the HR department. So that app really has been working wonders for our staff and organization, because it's actually given us another layer of safety, and the teachers have really can appreciate the app. As far as our students actually are wearing masks and following the guidelines, and we have decals throughout all the schools reminding them of social distancing and the steps they should take and staying 6 feet apart. So they're doing a great job doing that, and I just want to again give kudos to our students because they're just so bright. And I know a lot of conversation in the beginning. Are students going to keep their mask on? Are they going to take them off? Are they going to play with them? And they just been doing an outstanding job. In addition to that, we've also implementing a certain cleaning routine where we're wiping down doorknobs every 30 minutes to an hour, also using foggers throughout the building in the morning and in the evening. Some of our teachers have asked for some spray bottles to continue some of the disinfecting throughout the day for the face-to-face learners and continuing to follow the CDC guidelines. Uh, so we've actually implemented a couple of different layers. I won't go through that now because that'll take up some time, but we're also doing temperature checks of students and asking parents to do temperature checks of their students even before they send them to alerters and them knowing about the symptoms also.
That's wonderful. Just a yes or no for
Okay.
both DPSCD and for charter. Are your protocols available online for families to see, Ralph?
Yes, some of our protocols are available online.
Okay, great.
if they're not
Crystal?
online.
Yes, they are online.
Okay, excellent. So the next question is, we only have about 6 more minutes. So I'm gonna do a quick question and response, please. Right now, we were talking about connected futures, and certainly, Ralph, you know that there's been also additional federal and state resources available to charters to get technology. What percentage of your families right now have those laptop or tablets? And what advice do you give to parents about the best way for them to manage the different technology? Go ahead, please, Ralph.
So I would say over 50% of our population, they have technology. And then we're doing a lot of parent workshops and doing a lot of one-on-one with parents, helping them go through the technology and learn the different steps. As Crystal mentioned, that it's important that we continue to communicate and work with the parents about the technology, and just can't assume that they would know what to do. So we're doing a lot of outreach, and we even do some of the outreach on the weekends to make sure parents are understanding. And even if we have to call them in again for a lot of one-on-ones to take our time with them versus doing it in a larger group, we're also doing that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Crystal, same question. What percentage have you been successful putting that technology in the hands of families, and what advice do you have for parents?
Yep. So we're at probably more than 75% of the deployment, and there are a couple of families who did not pick up their devices. So we're having the last chance, so to speak, device pickup over the next couple of days. And there's a couple of things that I would say, and this is me speaking as a parent and not as a district administrator. I would say, as a parent, please continue to reach out to the district via phone, email, reach out to your teacher. I know it's frustrating. I've been fielding calls, but there are a lot of different moving parts. We are in a pandemic, and the same people that you're seeking help from, they're also going through their own individual trials and errors during this time. This is new. It is brand new. We are doing this for the first time. We did it in the spring, and it was just really quick turnkey emergency. But this is a plan that a lot of people have poured into, and we need to let it work. And we're going to constantly evaluate it, but everybody plays a part, and just allow a little bit more time. I know it was the first week, second week, need a little bit more time to work out the wrinkles, and we're all in this together. Crystal, the administrator for the district, I would say that thank you to our families who have come back and who are supportive, who are allowing time, who are sending the emails to the superintendent and the board. Thank you for that, because that's how we're going to get better, and that's how we're going to figure all of this out. And also just be honest with what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a pandemic, and everybody has been touched by this in a way that we never have imagined. And so then you couple that into educating your children and trying to find a normal in the education. It's not going to happen. This is a brand new frontier. It's an opportunity for us all to be innovative and for us to reimagine education as we once knew it, and to step into a space where we can be pioneers as we understand how to bridge the gap between face-to-face and online learning. This could actually be exciting. We would just need to embrace it and set aside some of the barriers and just really get into a problem-solving space for the benefit of our children, because these are our future leaders.
Yeah,
What we
absolutely.
do today is teaching them how to problem solve for the future. So I'm excited. I see us just, this is the
I
21st
know
century.
I feel like the two of you, we're at a Star Trek moment, like, right, you know, horizons to be found. And so it's good to keep that perspective, because the logistics of all of this can be literally overwhelming. We have one more question. I really appreciate if you could answer this one quickly. So we know that attendance is down. And we know that there are parents and families who've just not been able to make another connection with. What are you doing to increase attendance, and what can the community do to support you in that process? Ralph?
So I definitely want to go back and mention this is going to be a process, and it is different. And so we're going to have to do different things, definitely be innovative. That for attendance, we've been reaching out to parents, trying to communicate with them through phone, also doing a lot of home visits, and also have partnered with some of our partnership organizations, going door to door to make sure students are in attendance, and that's either online, in addition to even face to face, making sure they're coming daily. And it's very important that when we see things that may be a little different, that we're also reaching out to families to see how we can support them with the even the daily necessities that they may need during this whole time, during the pandemic and the online learning and sending kids to school face to face. But to go back to your question, we're doing a lot of home visits daily to make sure that parents are engaged and students are showing up online and face to face.
Okay, great. If you could give an estimate, what do you think your overall attendance is in comparison to last year?
Right now, I think our attendance overall is between 80 and 90%.
Okay, great. Crystal, same question. What do you think your attendance is right now, and how are you working to increase that? How can we help you? Crystal, you're still on mute?
Okay, here, I'm back.
Okay.
So we are tracking attendance, and as Ralph said, that we do have folks on the ground handling the door knocking. What's really interesting is Detroit Public Schools Community District, and maybe across the city, we have always had a lag with families showing up to school on the first day, first week, second week, third week. And we still see that trend now. And so we're asking the school level staff to reach out to the families. We've been in touch with them over the summer with the laptop deployment. So we did touch most of our families with that. And then we also performed door to door over the summer and touch families through that way. And so we're just asking our families, each one reach one, and to continue to help them understand the importance of being in school every day. We remain about 10 points lower in students attending than we were last year, but we are working hard to really reach our students from grades 7 to 12. Our students in pre-K 5, we're seeing them show up. So it's our preteens and our teenagers that we would ask the community, if you see them on the street, walking to the store during the daytime, if you see them not being engaged in the school setting, encourage the young people to get their education and come to school, log in, go to a learning center. There's options for everyone. We have masks if they don't have them. If they need more than that, we have resources for them. But please get in school every day. Every school day counts.
Wonderful. And I think that is a mantra that we can all remember and that we should all promote. So both Ralph and Crystal, thank you so much for your time. And there are additional questions that we're going to send to you, and we'll look forward to your responses so we can share them back with the audience. Christine.
Hi, there are a few questions that have come in. And so the first question, Crystal and Ralph, it's not clear whether this, what school this is, but there was a question in the chat that was, why aren't schools answering the phone? As a parent, I need all the help and support I need. We were trying to ask what school, but do you have suggestions for if parents are not getting a hold of school personnel, what number they should call or where they should go?
I would say definitely the parents should try to contact their building administrator. I think definitely that's the first line of contact in addition to their classroom teacher. And if that parent has transportation, I would definitely advise that parent goes up to the school to try to get in touch with someone at the school level. And hopefully the person at the school level could actually be very helpful and supportive to them.
Thanks, Ralph. Crystal, for DPS?
Yeah, same, pretty much same thing. I would have them call the main number 313-240-4377. We are rolling out a new hotline number that we will provide for families for Parent Academy support. It's 1-888-466-3978. That is the homework hotline phone number, but we are going to expand the services on those lines to be beyond the homework hotline. It'll service the IT support hotline, the homework hotline, and the mental health hotline, and also provide classes for the Parent Academy. So that's the 1-888 number 466-3978, and it is live starting today.
Great. So Crystal, stay on because there are two questions. I'm gonna read this out loud, and then I'm gonna ask you to answer something pretty specifically. So this is my main concern, the lack of communication. My daughter is a 9th grader at Cass. I email staff with concerns and questions and no one gets back to me. I also feel that the meeting should be posted on Facebook and website because some parents can't commit to live meetings at certain times. So Crystal, what is the expectation of the district for teacher response to emails of parents?
So at that point, it is incumbent upon the administration at the school to reach out to their personnel. We know that Cass Tech has one of our largest memberships. And so I would direct that parent to either go through the 240 hotline. We have been connecting families directly with the school's leadership team, but that is something that I would say they may also want to visit the school to calmly explain what they are seeking. I would also seek to email one of the leadership principals or assistant principals to clearly articulate what the issues are. I know they have over 2,300 students at Cass Tech. I know they have a litany of issues. I would also instruct them to possibly reach out to the Parent Teacher Association. I know that Principal Phillips is trying to leverage all of the resources to manage through the 2,000 students that she has over there. But that's just part of getting through 2,000 students within that 2-week time frame. there was a glitch where she did have to have a second parent orientation due to some technology issues, but the best bet is to continue to call the school, email the principal, and work through the PTA and the parent resources and the hotline, and hopefully she will get what she needs.
Great, thanks you, Crystal. And you answered inadvertently, you answered the next person's question about mental health and resources. So just want to remind the audience that Crystal gave that new number. It's the homework hotline number, but it's been expanded. And just for both of you, as we have to move on to our yoga, because we all need a little yoga right now, I think, that just considering to how we might, as we go through this process and we're all learning, cutting down on screen time, and having just cutting down on the screen time. We'll also send that question to you, but it was just a suggestion that a parent made. Could there be a consideration of cutting down on the screen time, maybe changing scheduling so that it's block scheduling? So just want to throw that out there and say that on live on air. But I'm going to kick it back to Jametta. Thank you both so much. I know that everyone is working so hard to make this all work in this very unprecedented time. So thank you.
Yeah, we
Jametta?
all have to give each other grace, because we simply do not know the full burden that people may carry, even while we continue to smile and show up and shine for our community. We have to keep in mind that we are all struggling to do our very best in a very unprecedented time period. But to help us breathe and get through this, we have to always bring together both our spiritual and mental and emotional self with our physical self. And Kimberly Boyd is returning to help us do just that with her awesome approach and the joy that she brings to yoga. Welcome back, Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Jametta. Greetings, everyone. So I have, as I come to you as a yogini, a lifelong Trekkie. So we are on quite a voyage together, and a mom. So we're doing an awful lot of sitting around. So my first offering is, don't just sit there, do something. Even as we're trying to figure things out, you know, when we feel stress, it lives in our bodies, right? So even if you're seated, let's take a nice, easy breath in together. Bring the shoulders up and exhale, and drop them down. And then repeat that again. Inhale, draw the shoulders up and exhale, drop them down. Do that 2 more times for yourself, following your own breath. All right, and then just sitting there, or stand if you're ready, just reaching up to the corners of your screen. Just reaching up to one side, breathe in, exhale, bring that arm in. Reach up, touch the other corner of the screen, exhale, bring that in. Now to the side, just reaching, wind to the side, tilting your body over, using your abdominal muscles to control you so you don't fall out of that chair, and coming back and reaching to the other side, breathe in and out, and then the same thing down, reaching down almost as though you were going to pick up something next to you, and to the other side. And then with both feet planted, bring both arms up, just fill the frame, take up all of the space that you're in. And from here, we're going to reach back. And if you have back on your chair, or if you can find the seat of your chair, to reverse the curse of all of that forward motion of typing and mousing and scrolling, just look up. Take a nice easy breath in through the nose, blow it out through your lips, and release the back of the chair. Yoga is all about balance. So since we're going backward, moving forward, inhale, exhale, bring your arms forward. I'm going to give you a ride as I move my screen back just a little bit so you can see a little bit more of my body. So now, everything that we do seated can be done standing. And as a matter of fact, it's a good idea to stand. So inhale, exhale, just coming forward and reaching up just a little bit up. Okay, change your mind and sit back down. So when we get the large muscles of our body working, it increases blood flow and energy. and begins to reduce the stress. Okay, so one time again, let's stay here for a count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And from here, pressing through the soles of the feet, bring your arms wide to the side, lengthen all the way up. And as you exhale, sit back down. All right, my friends, so we began with don't just sit there, do something at regular intervals, especially when you feel yourself getting a little stressed in your body. Just do something as simple as that. Just stretching, moving, get up, reach up, stretch up, and then now, don't just do something, sit there, balance in all things. So taking a comfortable but settled seat, the soles of your feet connected to the earth, take a breath in, and as you exhale, bring your awareness to the connection of the soles of your feet to the earth and the connection of your hips to your chair, as though you were rooted, not stuck, but connected to a source that's stable and strong. The wisdom of the earth rising up as you inhale and exhale to support you. And so breathing in through your nose, allow your spine to lengthen, not stiffen, but just lengthen up toward the heavens. And from here, just breathing peacefully, allowing the whole front of your body, your belly, your chest, your shoulders to remain soft, to expand with your inhale, and to soften as you exhale. And repeat, inhaling gently through your nose, exhaling peacefully through your lips. From here, allow the muscles of your face to relax, your jaw to relax, your throat to relax. And for the next 60 seconds or so, invite us to a place of stillness and quiet together. Keeping your eyes open, but focusing slightly down so that you're not staring at anything, but you are aware of everything. Just allowing everything to be as it is, no need to change anything, just breathe. And connect to the feeling of your own breath as you inhale and exhale. See if you can catch the moment where the inhale, as it expands to fill and lift you, turns into the exhale. And as you release and clear and empty that breath, think of letting go. To make space for the next breath, to fill and lift and make light. And as you exhale, release with the breath, stress, tension, any and everything that we do not need. From this place of peace, let's just simply breathe together 3 even breaths. Inhale followed by an exhale equals 1 whole breath. The next inhale followed by the exhale is a 2nd whole breath. And so on and so on. And from this space of being connected, stable, rooted, supported, all of the wisdom that we need to get us through this extraordinary moment, rising up from the soul of the earth to meet us. And the heavens above, as we inhale, lengthening our spines and the crown of our head to reach into the wisdom of the heavens. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are this connection between heaven and earth, earth and sky. And from this place of peace, I invite you now to inhale, open your arms wide to the side, touching the edges of the space that we're in. As you exhale, gather this breath down and allow it to rest in the space in front of your heart. And from this place, see if you can feel the connection of the earth and of one another as we simply breathe together on this journey. We love a community. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me and one another today. I wish you well in your practice of well-being. Peace.
Peace to you as well, Kimberly, and thank you always for reminding us that it's important in the midst of the stress that we go through, just take time to become centered. So we're pleased to now wrap up the program, and we have Arlisa as well as Christine have a variety of knowledge for us to continue building our power for change. Christine?
I'm going to have Arlisa start because she's going to share a really important message about an event that 482 Forward is doing. Arlisa?
Right. Yep. Vote,
Sure.
vote.
That's right. That's okay. So everybody, just wanted to just make a special announcement. You know, we've got things coming up. School board candidates are running. Detroit Public School Board candidates are running for seats. And so we are having a virtual candidate, what we're calling speed dating. September the 26th at 1 p.m. Of course, this is virtual. I'm going to direct folks to the 482 Forward page on Facebook, or also, there are actually 2 more candidate forums that's also being put on by our youth. And those dates are September the 23rd and September 30th. They'll be broken up into 2 forums. I am directing folks, please see 482 Forward on Facebook or at 482 Forward on IG, Instagram for the youth-led candidate forum. That's it.
Great.
And it's
Thanks,
also on your screen now.
Thanks, Arlisa. Okay, so we've reached 1:11 and it's time to wrap up our town hall. We want to thank all of our panelists for being here, and we want to thank each of you that have joined us as well. If your question wasn't answered, we'll get the answer and post them next week on onedetroitpbs.org and on DPTV's Facebook page. If you'd like regular updates, please fill out the form that's in the chat, or you can just put your email or phone number in the chat, or you can text us that information to 313-288-2082. Again, that number is 313-288-2082. We're doing shorter programs, and we're doing that because we want to accommodate everyone's schedules that have drastically changed. But we still want to make sure that you're getting really good information. And so we're trying to do that in a shorter period of time. If you have suggestions on what you would like to hear about or an expert you'd like to hear from, please chat that to us now, or you can text us at 313-288-2082. Again, that number is 313-288-2082. And as always, we have a few asks, a few things for you to do between now and when we see you again next Thursday. The first is to register for vote. You can do so online, and we're putting the link in the chat right now. If you're already registered to vote, during these times, it's good to have a plan because we're shifting plans all the time. So to create your plan, you can go to ballotready.org, and that information is on the screen right now. Also, the census is due by September 30th. We want all of the households in Detroit to fill out their census. It'll take about 10 minutes, and that 10 minutes will dictate how much money we have as a city for the next 10 years. Please call and reach out to 3 of your friends and ask them to complete the census. Share with them how important it is. Remember, this money is for our preschools, it's for our school lunch programs, it's for our education, It's 4 things that we use every day and things that we really need. So please fill out your census. The last day is on September 30th, and that is fast approaching. Also, we have an immigration town hall tomorrow. I believe it's at 1 p.m. If I'm wrong, somebody please let me know. But we're having the immigration town hall, and that's tomorrow at, I believe, 1 p.m. Also, our text message line, if you have questions throughout the week, please feel free to text us. Again, that number is 313-288-2082. And then last ask is, we have a survey, first week feedback, Detroit, and we'd like you to fill it out. Even though it's not the first week, we really want to gather your feedback on how school is going so that we can make sure that we are up to date on what's working and what we can improve upon. Lastly, we are putting a survey in the chat. If you fill it out, you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card. That's it for today. This town hall is truly a group effort. So before we go, I'd like all the partners to turn on their video. And I want to remind everyone, or we want to remind everybody, to please stay healthy, stay powerful, and stay strong. Christina, can you say that in Spanish?
Y en español, yes, I can. Manténgase con salud, manténgase con poder y manténgase fuerte. Gracias.
Thank you. And Saeed, can you share that in Arabic?
حافظ على صحتك، ابقى ثابتا ومتينا وابقى قويا. إلى اللقاء. Goodbye.
Thank you all so much. Everyone have a great rest of the week and a good weekend. Thank you. See
Stay
you next
strong,
week.
be blessed. Take care.